Hi, I'm Lisa Rangel from Chameleon Resumes, the premier executive resume writing company. And I thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about, we're gonna dive into a recruiter's mind, that being mine. And the topic we're gonna talk about today is what's going on inside a recruiter's mind when they're interviewing you. And I want you to use this information when you are preparing for your next interview. So let's go dive inside this recruiter's mind. And I want to share with you some of the questions that I would have as a candidate. So this way you can see inside what's going inside the candidate, the recruiter's mind. And as you're preparing for the interview, keep this information in mind, because I think in order to have an effective interview prep, you need to have the end goal, the recipient, the information in mind. So this way, while staying true to who you are and what you want, and being true to yourself, you're conveying the information in such a way that the recipient, being the recruiter or the hiring manager, is getting the information from you, that authentic information from you, but in a way that is important and meaningful to them. So it's important to know what's going on the other side of that desk. And this way you can keep this perspective in mind as you're going through your next interview. So what are some of the questions that I would ask myself when I would be interviewing a candidate? And some of these questions happen a little bit before, a little bit after, obviously during interview, but this will give you an idea, and you can take these questions for your next interview prep. Again, it's important to have that perspective of what's going inside the recruiter's mind. And for those of you who may not know, I was a recruiter for 13 years prior to starting Chameleon Resumes. So that's where this perspective comes from. So let's jump into that. The first question that I would ask when I had someone that I was interviewing, and obviously I would do this before, is what do I see on a Google search? What do I see on a LinkedIn profile? I want an idea of what the online presence of this person is, and see if it tells me anything positively or negatively about their personality and what and their knowledge, and what I'm about to embark on by talking to this person, and what we would be engaging in with this person who hired them. And there's no hard and fast rule about what we're looking for, but I would just some things to keep in mind. You want to make sure that you're obviously sort of the obvious points of keeping your online reputation clean. You want to make sure everything you have out there you're okay with a hiring manager or a company taking into consideration if they're hiring you. Now, obviously, companies can't be using information that is illegal to use. But at the same time, if you're offering it outright, don't forget hiring managers are human, and subliminally things can be digested. So you always want to make sure that you're keeping in mind that don't offer what shouldn't be used in your online presence, because then it's much easier for it not to be used, right? So just keep that in mind. But you want to make sure that you're keeping in mind what your online presence looks like, because I'm telling you, recruiters are going to pop your name into Google, pop your name into LinkedIn, and make sure they're getting a jump on that before they bring you in for the interview or after the interview, definitely before the offer for most HR processes. And again, that's a reminder to get your LinkedIn profile updated as well. The section that I'm going to be asking myself during the interview is, are you a solutions-driven person? Are you the type of person that is, going to take responsibility and, brainstorm the challenge, come up with the solution, take the initiative to fix it? Or are you the finger pointer? Are you the blamer? Are you the responsibility shirker? Are you going to be a part of the solution, or are you going to be part of a problem? Those to me are the real two classifications that people put themselves in based on how they answer questions, and honestly even the questions they ask themselves. So you want to make sure that you're clearly put in the solutions driven candidate category, and the person who is taking the initiative, anticipating problems, and doing what they got to do to make things keep working. So that's another question I'm factoring in or keeping in the back of my mind while I'm factoring in your answers. The third question that I'm asking myself is, what else did you do to prepare this interview? 25 years ago, it was like a novel thing to do the company research and the online research and whatnot, because we started to have these resources available to us outside of a library, right? But now, doing company research is like a given, right? That's a no-brainer. But what else did you do? Did you research and speak to clients or vendors or former employees, or go to networking events where current employees of that company, tend to congregate, and did some own firsthand intelligence on your own. This is what, did you go above and beyond, just the online research at your desktop, or on your phone? You want to make sure that you're able to answer that if asked. And more importantly, that it's not even so much a test, right? That you can say, yes, I did it. It's more about you are demonstrating that you've gone by how you synthesize and provide the information in an answer, because they're going to be impressed if you're giving an answer that's based on you doing, firsthand research with their competitor, with their client, with a vendor, depending on the type of job that you're going for, because they're going to see that you went above and beyond, which I think is really count. The fourth question I'm going to ask myself is, how you behaved on the interview. And that goes not just during the interview, where it's pretty much a no-brainer, you're probably going to be polite, we hope, right? But, what'd you do with, personnel and security staff and front desk staff, before the interview and after the interview. You want to make sure that you are a model, employee, and just genuinely courteous, right? This should not be something you try for. This should be something you do. To everyone you see along the way, from like the parking attendant, if there's a garage involved, the front desk person, if there's a security person to check in, the receptionist upstairs, whoever it is that you're checking in with along the way and on your way out. You want to make sure if you're calling in 3 days later, the person who answers the phone, that sort of stuff. You need to make sure that you are coming across well behaved. And for me to say this, because I've seen really bad behavior with people interviewing at companies at all levels. It's not just entry level. It's not just senior people who think they've arrived. It's literally all levels. So you got to make sure that you are behaving the whole way through. Fifth question I ask myself is, are you the type of candidate that can speak candidly and vulnerably about yourself? Because the reason why I look for this on an interview, and why hiring managers look for this on an interview, is because, let's face it, right? Work experiences are not always happy, fluid and joyous and awesome, right? There's problems that happen at work. There's mistakes that happen at work. There's accounts that are lost. There's all kinds of debacles that go on, both internally and externally. Things you can control and screwed up, things you can control and have to react to. And I want to know if somebody is going to be able to be candid with me about a situation, and if they have a part in a particular debacle, that they're going to be able to be vulnerable with me about telling me what their part in it was and what they're going to do to fix it. Because, if you come across perfect on an interview, I'm personally a little suspect, because it makes me wonder, are you going to be, constantly wanting to appear perfect even when you're hired? And it's hard for me, and it's hard for hiring managers, or it's hard for managers in general to have, give and take type of relationships based on trust with people who are always trying to be perfect. So I'm not talking about, being so vulnerable that it's, you're using the interview as a therapy session. That's clearly a little too much. But you want to make sure that, you're able to talk about yourself diplomatically, but in a vulnerable, candid way. And because that will convey to that hiring manager, if they appreciate this, which I would imagine you'd want a company who appreciates this. You're going to be able to do that if hired, which will allow you to have a great relationship, potentially great relationship with your new employer, because both sides are going to be able to be candid and vulnerable with themselves. Now, if you are candid and vulnerable with yourself on an interview, and an employer does not appreciate that, and you're as a result rejected, I would say you may have dodged a bullet. You know what I mean? Because if it's one of those employers that you constantly have to have everything looking perfect, and they don't want to hear about anything, they don't want to talk about anything that's, a little messy or a little negative to get to the root of a problem in order to have a solution, you got to wonder if that's the kind you want for. So, that's just something that I would look for, and that we coach our clients to be able to handle that type of answer in a diplomatic yet, candid and vulnerable manner, because it really sets you apart from the crowd where everybody's told to have the perfect interview answer. So, be able to do that, and guarantee you that you're going to be advancing in situations you want to advance in. That's the key. The sixth question that I ask myself is, have you demonstrated to me that you can do the job? And and it's more than just saying you can do it, right? Who's going to go on an interview and say, oh, yeah, you might have to do this. Everybody's going to say they can do it. I want to know that you've demonstrated the proof to me that you can, and that demonstrating the proof to me really comes in several ways. One is actual concrete proof from the past that you've done it firsthand, right? And then the second category of where you've proven to me that in the job is you have transferable skill sets that make sense to leading me to believe you can do this job. Whether it's your client services experience in one industry and we have client service experience in this particular job, so that would make sense. Maybe ability to, I remember I've hired someone once before who really had no direct experience in the profession or the industry that I need to hire them in. They had a demonstrated pattern of being able to pick up things they never did before and doing it successfully, and hiring for that skill. So that skill, if you have that ability to create something out of nothing, do something new and do it well, I'm willing to take a chance on somebody like that if it's a job that often doesn't have a lot of people in the industry or in the profession with prior experience. Maybe it's a new technology, a new angle industry, that sort of thing. So, but that person with a skill set, is showing me that they're going to be able to probably do the job. So, are you convincing that recruiter, that hiring manager, that you can concretely do the job either through direct experience or transferable experience? And then the seventh question that I ask myself after I've invested all this time with this person and I feel like they're going to do great in the company, are they going to follow up properly at all? So I want to make sure, that now I'm putting my hopes on the candidate, right? I want to make sure that they follow up properly and definitely do it, right? So that's what I'm wondering, is I make sure, is this going to keep going or am I going to have to start over? And I'm definitely wondering that at the end of an interview, especially with a candidate that I really want to see move forward. So don't forget to do that when you have a great interview. So I hope you've enjoyed this inside the recruiter's mind type of perspective when you're interview prepping, and you'll use this when you do your interview prep. Now, if you want to learn what a recruiter's looking at when they're looking at your resume, you're going to want to basically sign up for my next training, and the link is down below. It's a free training, how to write your resume to land six-figure interviews, and you're going to be able to sign up for that, and you'll get my recruiter's perspective on how to do your resume to land six-figure interviews. So it's pretty quick transition there, but I'm telling you, if you enjoyed this recruiter's perspective on how to do an interview, you're going to absolutely want to know what I have to say to make sure your resume will generate that interview for you, because once that is, you're going to know what to do to prepare. So again, go to the link below and you can register for that free training. And if you like this video and you feel like someone can benefit from it, I'm going to ask you to like it. I'm going to ask you to share it. If you have a question, feel free to comment at the bottom or send me an email at lr@chameleonresumes.com, and I read and reply to every email and comment. So I look forward to seeing you next time, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so this way you get our next video. Take good care.